Okay, Dr. Ramphele, lovely to have you with us. Thank you for giving us your time.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure.
If you could just start by defining what is Letsema Circle and what are the interests of Letsema Circle?
Letsema Circle is a social enterprise company which is inspired by the message of Dinukeng scenarios, which concluded that the problems of this country and the opportunities that await us are only possible if we walk together. Now, Letsema in my language, Sepedi, is collective action. And so we also wanted to focus on the power of the circle, that in life, and particularly in human nature, very much embedded in African philosophy, is that we work together, and when we discuss challenges and identify opportunities, we sit around in a circle. So there is no hierarchy, but it is also a symbol of inclusiveness. And we believe that working together or walking together between citizens who are ultimately the sovereigns, the owners of this country, working together with the government and with the private sector, we can tackle our challenges successfully and harness our opportunities.
And Dr. Ramphele, you've responded positively with Letsema Circle joining Ubuntu Water Foundation as campaign partners to initiate the first project called Wine to Water. How could the Wine to Water project facilitate Letsema Circle's interests?
One of the first frameworks that we developed was to look at how we can translate the very progressive legislation and policy framework that the government has developed to deal with water catchment management. Sadly, the legislation is there, the theory is there, but the practice is very much in its infancy. And we thought that a walking together for water using one catchment area, the Bergrio, could be quite instructive for all of us to learn about how we can tackle something which is a commons, something that we collectively own, but something that can be destroyed by us not working together. How that can be managed in a way that makes for sustainability. And so the Ubuntu approach to dealing with the same issue of water in terms of the Wine to Water campaign resonates very strongly with our intent to promote the use of collective action to manage our common resources.
Thank you. And how would constructing the proposed campaign partnership between the various partners such as De Morganson or Spear or Consol Glass, Letsema Circle, how could this partnership's construction be valuable for the city and for government in the short and the long term?
The partnership that is proposed encompasses precisely the concept of collective action, because at the heart of it are citizens who are concerned about the sustainability of our water resources. But it is also a partnership that brings in the private sector. But you don't bring in the private sector out of charity. You must bring in the private sector to align the interests of the private sector. The wine industry in South Africa and the fruit industry in South Africa depends very much on the availability and the cleanliness of our water. And so in that you have parties that have the same interests. But the government, clearly, having developed the framework, has a very strong interest in making sure that it works. And the government in this case is represented by the city, by the province and national government. And I hope that what can be achieved by this campaign will unlock the possibilities of really tackling the Berg River, which is the lifeblood of the Western Province. And by learning, by doing, in managing that catchment area, which will bring in all the parties, the squatters who live on the banks of the Berg River, the fruit farmers who stand to lose a lot if that water continues to be polluted, and of course the province that requires a growing economy, as well as a city that depends very much on water from the Berg River.
And recently, a 6-point water plan has been unveiled to unite local, provincial and national government to deal with the water crisis, the looming problems around water. What message could you deliver for Helen Ziller as head of province here to get involved with this project?
I think it's fantastic that the province is thinking so progressively. What is needed is to construct the circle for people from government, from the private sector, from the civil society to sit together around the circle. Because it's one thing to construct a framework, it's totally another to give life to the framework. And the life will come out of the conversations that we will have. And those conversations really reinforce the fact that humanity has got no option but to make sure that our connectedness is one that enriches and one that leverages the diversity that we have as a source of both our unity and strength.
Dr. Ramphele, you've seen the movie Water, the Great Mystery. You are familiar with Dr. Emoto, who's one of Ubuntu Water's patrons. You are familiar with his philosophy of the interconnectedness, the sacred unity of water, and revealing that through his technology of water crystals. On a personal level, what impression does Dr. Emoto's make on you?
It's actually quite astounding that the sort of questions one had in one's mind, both as a medical doctor, as a social scientist, but importantly as a spiritual person, to understand the power that lies in water and the impact our emotions, our attitudes, our approach to other human beings, our relationships, how those are affected by and also affect the purity of water as revealed in that work. And I just find it quite exciting that science is able to help those of us who believe because of faith to find further sustenance from the importance of connectedness, human connectedness. And so in a way, the work and the understanding of water, as indicated in that movie by Dr. Emoto, if there are still any racists around who need scientific proof of how intimately connected we are and how we are creatures that have been created to remain connected and not to be focusing on our differences, but rather celebrate those differences where they exist in order for us to live in harmony as the crystals of a harmonious society, or the water that lives in a harmonious space indicates to us.
Wow, thank you, Dr. Ramphele.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.